Let me tell you about this show called Black
Nah,
Clover,
nah, nah,
people.
nah, 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 nah. We not doing
Um,
that. Hold on, hold on. If you talking about this, I'm going. I'm leaving.
well, I guess that's all, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Herbal Synergies, the shop. I'm your host, Sinji. With me, as always, my co-host, Bay.
What up?
What's up, Irby? How you doing, man?
The usual, same old, living life, each and every day.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Um, Same, I guess.
Damn. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. So let's kick it off to some flavors. You said you had two. I have
Mm-hmm.
one. So let's do one of yours, one of my, then mine, and then the other one of yours.
Shoot. I was gonna go with Boris Sunatsky. This one. Is when his dad enters his room and he knocks and he's like, "What's the point of knocking if you're already in here?" And then he's like, "Oh, I forgot, you're 14. You're a young man now." And I was like, because it reminded me when Rick and Morty had that scene. He was like, he's like, "You should knock." He's like, I'm 14." And the implications behind that
Mm,
just made me laugh. So
okay. A little comical flavor.
yes, keep it like hearted.
Okay. My flavor is coming out of the webtoon Unordinary. And I've talked about this before. But a character with like anger issues, and you really see his character development throughout the show. And
Sounds like you.
he had another wow.
He had another what?
Wait, what did you say? Rewind a little.
I ain't saying nothing.
I heard unlike you.
And I said, sounds like you.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Whatever. He had another moment where you see his character development where like he was actually trying to get along with people and he intentionally lost a game just to like for people to accept him a little more, I guess. I would say. I mean, if I don't think you per se would like it because of the
Violence and picking on kids.
yeah, let's go with violence. Sure, why not? But it actually is a really good read. But anyways, that was my flavor from there. His the just the display of character development and his growth.
Mm-hmm. Development and growth.
Hey man, I'm a sucker for things where like you see characters change throughout the story, like season one of Tokyo Ghoul.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
Okay, Sakugan.
Yeah, so my other one was from Sakugan. So basically, Guggenberg, he's in a bar trying to pick up some women and stuff, and he uses this cheesy pickup line. Uh,
On all
do
of
you,
them.
yeah, on all of them. And he's like, "Do you know the real reason why God created men and women?" And they all just laugh and laugh. And then this woman that was been spying on him the whole day, uh, she comes up and he does the line to her, and he's like, "Probably so they can make love." And he goes like head over heels over her. And I'm like, it's funny because the pickup line, and I'm thinking to myself like, how you not know this is setup? She already know the answer. It seems like a setup. So that was just me. I just thought that was funny. That pickup line.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so we might as well start off with Sakugan.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, Irby.
So this episode 4 of Sakugan is called Ladies and Gentlemen. And it starts off with them being locked up. Um, they call them criminals. And we find out he actually had a nickname, Gale Force Guggenberg.
I thought they
And
mentioned it earlier already.
not to that I remember.
Hmm.
So they're getting all checked out for all sorts of ailments, and that's because they're in the labyrinth. They don't want any diseases getting into the facilities. And then they're asked not to leave until they have a decision being made about what to do with them. And so they let them go, tell them to go in the city. You see all sorts of sights, and it's like I feel like they're in like Venice or Greece or somewhere over there. Because I was like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and so yeah. And then they start eating and doing the delicacies and all sorts of stuff. And this is when the lady has an earpiece and she's listening into their conversation. And then Mimopu, she talks about she wants to go eat at. She's like, "They have this thing called a restaurante," and I was like, "Oh yeah." So then we get there. She goes off on her own, and he uses the pickup line that I was mentioning before, and she has to answer, and he says, "Will you join me?" And then my girl Mimimpu shows up, dumps water on him, and then she says, "What kind of father ditches his daughter to pick up some tail at the bar?" That was another funny part.
I mean, she basically told him to go to the hotel.
She did.
He just took a detour.
It took a major detour, but I ain't even mad at him.
Hey, he almost ended up there anyway. Granted, I
Yeah,
think
it was all
oh
set up.
yeah, I think Miss we don't know her name at this point, but Zach Letsu was just
Yeah,
trying to rob him.
yep.
So
So that happens, and so they're arguing and talking about stuff, and the mysterious woman slides out of the bar, and then she runs back in because she's wanted by the Don. And then they come in guns blazing, shooting, and Mimimpu and that woman leave, and they go out somewhere, and then he's like, "Oh, I'll handle him, hold him off, whatever." So that happens, and then they end up bringing in some big bodies to capture him. So, and then so they're trying to get information out of him. They're like, "Do you know who that is?" And she has like a $10,000 bounty or point something on her head, and then so that happens, and then they're torturing Guggenberg, and then she shows up to save him, and instead of just cutting him free on her behalf for helping her earlier, she's like, "Well, I could save you, but this would cost 1 million credits," and I'm like, "Oh." He's in this position because of you, and you go charge him for $1 million. I was like, "Oh, this was a setup from the beginning." You know, she knew a second when she saw one. So, so then that happens, and he's like, "Whatever, fine, I'll pay it." And then so they leave, and they get in a shootout. They're running through the city. They're doing stuff, and then you apparently Guggenberg is an expert marksman because he shoots the guns out of like three people's hands. And they're fighting. They go through the city. They get trapped in the virtual waterway, which is a nice touch because they don't have virtual running water, but it's like pixelated images of water. And then my girl Mimimpu shows up with the motorcycle and saves
damn near
them.
crashes it.
Yeah. Then Zach Letsu's like, "Hey, that's my motorcycle." So that happens. Then we go to episode 5, No Work, No Life. And the guy, it starts off by Naruto, the guy of the Bureau of Regulations, picking him back up. And he takes him to this place called the Windy Hill. And the forest is dead. And then we find an interesting fact that the reason why trees, I don't know how true this is, but I guess in their world, the reason why trees have thick bark is so they can withstand the wind. And I was like, that kind of makes sense. Don't know if
But
it's true,
like,
but I had to look it up.
yeah, but like, how much sense can it make? Because like, how sturdy can a tree be when it's just sprouting?
Yeah, that's why trees take like years to actually get up, grow big and strong and healthy. So, but anyhow, so then they nerd out on the science for a little bit, Memimpu and Niroro. And then we find out Memimpu has 7 doctorate degrees from Pinion University. So she's what, like, I want to say she's like 12 and she's super smart, child prodigy, a science Itachi, if you will.
Hey, listen, man. I'm just wondering how credible is that school?
I don't know. She seems to know a whole bunch of stuff, and
So
she's
she
pretty
does.
smart.
There's no doubt she's smart, but I'm just wondering because Pinion just looks like the slums of this underground world.
Yeah,
So like I'm just wondering the level of education you can have in that university.
I don't know. Sometimes it's not the university, or the place, because USC is right in the middle of the hood, but people like USC is a great informational place. So yeah,
UFC or UCF?
USC, University of Southern California.
Oh, USC. Gotcha.
Yeah. So you never know. Could this be the best university located where it's the cheapest to service more a whole bunch of people? But anyhow,
Perhaps.
yeah. So then there's a device that's broken and he shows her the device and that's why the force died because there's no circulation, there's no wind. And Mimimpu is like, oh, I want to fix this said device. So so
It
she they're
that whole area kind of reminded me. Have you ever like seen or played Horizon Zero Dawn or know anything about it?
nope.
So in a very very long story short format, Horizon Zero Dawn is about a society that basically like restarts itself. They created machines, and whenever it seems like I guess life is taking a turn for the worse, they just like reset everything. They have machines to like produce nature and shit like that. Blah blah blah. And it's just like looking at the technology in there. It was just like how advanced did they get in the technology where they made a self-sufficient labyrinth wind mechanism.
Yeah. They were pretty apparently also it's ancient time too. Like they did this anciently, but no one's been able to replicate the technology.
But that's what I mean. Like it's ancient to them, but like the technology points towards an
Super
advanced society.
advanced.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Because like my theory when the show first started is they were just underground people who didn't know how to get above ground.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
But carry on.
Yeah, so she, she's she's very headstrong and she's like I'm gonna fix it and she's like let's go to the mine. So they go to the mines in these special shoot suits and she leads them to a dead end and then they keep walking around. She leads them to another dead end. She's like I could have sworn there was a path right here and she just leads them to another dead end and then they get to one finally and it's a dead end, but it switches and opens up. So she's like, "Oh, so I was right. I wasn't leading to dead ends. It's just the maze moved to allow airflow to enter and stuff." So it's like the transforming labyrinth. And so they sit there and they wait, and they play shogi. That was another one I thought about was cool. So they play shogi, this tea. They have some moments. She learns about tea leaves and stuff. And then so she then consults her map that Uraru gave her, and she figured out that there are anima ley lines over the place. And then she leads into a place where she messes with some pipes and she's running around and putting pipes and doing all sorts of stuff. Like she knows what she's doing. And then they have to turn the valve. And this is the part I was like, are they both pulling down? Because it looked like they're both pulling down on it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I was like, one's supposed to pull down, the other one's supposed to pull up. So that that didn't happen. I didn't know what they were doing. Then they finally got it open and everything starts working again. And then she goes to rehome some birds that was in the pipe, and then the pipe busts, and then she falls down. I'm like, dang. She looks like she's dead, but I was like, she's a main character. She's not dead yet.
She's not dead yet.
She looked jacked up, didn't she though?
She'd look fucked up, yeah.
I was like, dang, she's pretty gone. But she ended up falling on this soft thing and saving herself. And and then I had a thought watching this one. I was like, was it Zach Letsu? I
Saklatsu,
had
yeah.
to, I had this thought. I was like, she's gonna be a reoccurring money grab theme. I was like, she seems because she's talking about she wanted to get her um get her money back and stuff. I was like, she's like, I'll hunt you down. I was like, oh, I was like, and I thought about it
All right,
because I
but
watched
here's
all
here's
these.
what was wild about her character. Okay, so like you could already tell like she's shady because this man risked his life for her, and like to save him, he had to promise her $1 million or credits. All right, but to get in the next episode to get the million credits, you hired people for 1 million credits to get the 1 million credits. I'm like, what? So just to
Yeah,
get the money he owes you, you're willing to pay them the money he owes you, even though
yeah,
you added your own interest at the. I don't fucking know, bro. I was just like, what is this character?
like that's why I was like, because I was like, she's just gonna be a recurring like money thing.
Fucking, we got a Nami here.
Yeah, might be a better looking Nami though, but hey,
Whoa, whoa! I know
uh,
someone who would disagree.
yeah, it's okay. You disagree, teach their own. But anyhow, so next episode starts. He starts gambling and he gets a whole bunch of money and stuff. He's just raking it in, and then bam, he loses it all, even shirt off his back. So mm, I'm like, you had money, you could do that, but people never want to walk away when they're up. But anyhow, so they go through, and then we get introduced to a new character, Euro. He's a local person. Uh,
Did you say Euro or Yuri?
Euro.
Isn't it Yuri?
It is. I was waiting for you to catch on. You didn't get it. But anyhow,
I'm so confused.
no, I was waiting for you. I made another reference, but you didn't get it, so
Euro? Who's Euro?
never mind.
No, it's gonna
Yes,
bother me.
some for another day. So yeah, so he's a hacking crew hired by Zach Letsu, and she owes them what she charged Gucumber. So I'm like, you had the money for it, or she might not have had the money, and then so she's like, let me get this sucker right here because he's a sucker, and I can get him for some money to pay these people.
I didn't like this episode. I'm just gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, it was. It was. I feel like this is like a moral episode because
I think this was just, hey, this guy's gonna be part of our crew now.
yeah, like they just had to establish his backstory and his stuff.
But like, I cared
So
more about the little hints of Gugumber's backstory.
yeah, that was interesting too because he ended up parting ways with his whoever he was with um because they'd had a
Rusta, I
difference of
think, or
opinion.
Russ.
Yeah. So and so they get to the hideout and they had to work off the debt. So they're working off the debt, and we find out that Yuri has a Yuri has mechanical arms. I'm like, why? Memimpu likes the arms. She's like, they're cool. You ought to show them off. And then we find that the perfect talent that they were in is just like a place, it's a fraud. It's not the perfect utopia that the mayor makes it out to be. And he takes bribes and it's like laundering money and all sorts of stuff. And so Yuri decides to take his money and stuff. And then we find out that they were all orphaned at one point, and that like the school was just a front, like they actually had to work and pay and do stuff to like earn their keep. So we found out that Yuri actually was outcasted as an orphan. Why he lives under the city is because he stole bread to feed the other orphans. But what's surprising is the Mimpu's a thief. She's like, "Oh, he's still for justice," which was funny.
Yeah, it was just like a short montage of like, okay, we're stealing now. So what?
Yeah,
What's going? What? I don't understand. I don't get what's happening right now.
yeah. So then there's this mysterious robotic duo. I was like, "Who are they?" In there. So you don't know. They didn't show back up. And then the mayor pulls a dick move and shuts down the orphanages. Talking about some what did he say? He was like, "Oh, we have it's not equal if we're giving this stuff to people." And then the lady's like, "Well, why don't you fix it so that it's equal to everyone?" And he gets some BS reason.
So we'll just make it equal by closing it all.
Yeah. And then so Yuri um, wants to storm the tower, and this is when you start seeing some more Guggenberg's flashbacks and stuff, and he's like, "Oh yeah." So he storms the tower, then he stops them, and they live out the rest of their lives not storming the tower. But they had some dirt on the mayor, and it caused the mayor to get ousted. So, and then this is when they do their kumbaya stuff, and they leave, and Yuri decides to join the crew. And then this is when Zach Letsu's like, "Oh, you still owe me $1 million plus this interest that's on there now." And I'm like, "Girl, stop." So, and that's it. Pretty much the end of the episode.
Alright, so like just I liked episode 4. I liked episode 5. Episode 6 was like, I could have done without it, but whatever.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Let's talk about some re fucking zero.
Re-Zero. The Super Natsuki the hero.
Oh, excuse me one moment. As I stretch. Getting old, man. Okay.
Tell me about it.
So ReZero, we're resuming where Dad and Subaru left off, who we find out his name later on is Kenichi. Kenichi
Yes.
Natsuki, the world's strongest disciple.
We're the world's strongest dad.
The world's strongest dad.
Until I had kids. But
That should be, that should have been the name of this show. The world's strongest dad's son. Subaru
that's
Natsuki.
that's like saying, I didn't know Barto's dad had a show.
Yeah. Alright, so, Kenichi put Subaru in an armbar. Subaru countered into a figure 4, and Kenichi reversed the figure 4. Mama comes in and is like, "Hey, the food's ready. Don't want to eat without the family." And it was like, "You can eat without us." But I'm like, "What's the point of eating without the family?" I thought this implied that there was more than just the 3 of them, but no, it was just the 3 of them.
Yeah.
And
Well, two people can constitute a family.
yeah, it's just I don't know. She kind of like, "Hey," the way she was talking made it seem like, "Hey, we're waiting." So, oh, it's just
Like you had a little brother sister.
Yeah. She's like, "I made this breakfast," and like she whipped out a bowl of peas and some soup, and the only thing that struck me as breakfast related was the piece of toast with strawberry jam. I was just like, "Bro, what is this breakfast?"
Mm-hmm.
But they all kept passing around the bowl of peas, and it was like, none of us like peas. So this
Sure
is
don't.
this is a never-ending cycle. Who's gonna eat the peas? Well, let's turn it into a pilaf, which I actually like pilaf, rice pilaf. I would fuck up
Word.
some pilaf. And they ate it like they weren't happy with it, but they ate it, and I was just like, y'all motherfuckers crazy, bro. I'll fuck up some pilaf.
Shoot, Emperor Pilaf.
Emperor Pilaf, wishing on the Dragon Balls to be the ruler of the world. Anyways, so
Yeah,
Dad tries to finesse Subaru into going for a run towards school, and Subaru's like, "Who are you kidding? You know I'm not going to school." And then like he gets like pain in his head and like in his chest, and just like, this man was in pain. And like every time they seem to mention school,
anxiety.
anxiety. You think it was anxiety?
Yeah,
It could have been anxiety. Yeah, it could have been like panic attack, anxiety attack.
yeah.
And every time they mentioned school, he just seemed to be in pain. And then like that's when you kind of put two and two together. Like facing his past is like I guess going to school,
Yeah,
and you
the
get to
reason
learn.
why he,
Yeah,
yeah,
you get to learn a little about the way that Subaru grew up. Like he grew up. He basically grew up in the shadow, in his father's shadow. Whereas his
hmm,
father was good at everything, so he tried to be good at everything, and like it came easy to him first, but it started to not come as easy. So if he couldn't impress people with his academics and athleticism, he started wanting to make them laugh, which changed the crew he was with. And eventually, when anyone in that crew can in that kind of crew could be replaceable. So like eventually he found himself alone and just stopped going to school altogether.
with
But while
a
he's
Ruka.
opening up, he kept vaguely remembering Amelia until he finally remembered her and like confronted his emotions, confronted his past, and you know, he broke down in front of his father saying like I won't be able to repay you guys for all you've done or say sorry. And he also said bye to his mom, which was kind of endearing and wholesome and a little sad. And then he,
Wasn't sad.
what's up?
I ain't said shed a tear.
Well, I didn't shed a tear either, but it was still kind of sad.
Nah, I was like, character growth, development. Keep it going, Barasu.
So he goes to school and we find Echidna. We meet Echidna again. But we also find out that I don't know if this is true because of the situation he was in, but I think his mom's very last words to him were "Take care of yourself."
Probably more likely than not.
Okay, so then we start the next episode, and Super actually compliments Echidna the way she looks in the uniform, and I was like, okay, man switched up a little.
When I first saw her, I was like, oh, Amelia's there. Then I was like, wait, that's not her.
I thought that too, but then the picture got clearer. I was like, oh, it's Echidna.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying. Like last week, it was with the resemblance of the two. It was like maybe they're kind of related somehow. But um, one of my complaints for these three episodes was I really wanted to see what Amelia was going through.
Yep.
So, resuming, um, Echidna was basically like teasing Subaru, and like Subaru said like, "What if this is like basically leading on like this is just a fabrication of yourself?" And Subaru basically called himself stupid, and it's like, "Don't insult my parents. My imagination is not big enough to picture them saying that. That's why it caught me off guard. So don't sell my parents short." I was like, I feel you on the defense side, Subaru, but you basically called yourself stupid.
Hey, some people just gotta be aware of their limits.
Okay. But at the end, before they disappeared, Subaru thanked Echidna, which really caught her by surprise. It was like, even if it wasn't real, I said things I wanted to say before, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
So Subaru passed the trial of, but Amelia did not. She was my girl looked traumatized, bro.
She looked like they whooped her butt in that
Yeah,
trial.
I don't know what they were going through, what was going on, but that's not a pass she wants to face. And you can
Where
tell
is
she
my?
doesn't want to do it. So then after the aftermath of Amelia coming out, we found out there are people who don't want the curse to be lifted through the trials. Like, they rather stay secluded from the world. And I feel like, okay, that's cool, that's cute.
Yeah. We also
Not too many
found
people
out that
even know
there's
where the
three
sanctuary
trials.
is. What's up?
Yeah. We also found out that there's actually three trials too.
Yeah, and Amelia, who wants to take them on herself, hasn't passed one.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll
Mm-mm.
see how that turns out. Um. So yeah, there are people who don't want the curse to be lifted, and Rom's over here warning Subaru's like, "Hey, just know there are people who might try to come after Amelia." I was like, "Rom, why are you telling Subaru? Like, shouldn't you be willing to guard her as well?"
She doesn't remember.
What do you mean?
She doesn't remember she has a sister.
No, but we're talking about Amelia.
I thought you said Rom something. I thought, yeah, I heard incorrectly then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This was like
Yeah.
before that, and like where so like Roswell was talking to Subaru, and he basically said that he set up for everything that happened in the last few episodes to happen the way it did without him there. And I was just like, bruh, you're a piece of shit. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it wouldn't mean as much if I've saved the area if I was responsible for as that it meant more that Amelia and you did it because now the villagers have faith in Amelia. And it's just like, nah, you're still a piece of shit.
I mean, I can understand it. Like he
I
orchestrated
understand. Yeah,
everything to make her
I understand
look
where he's
well.
coming from, but like Rem is the only reason I have to not like Roswell right now. Rem is unconscious and no one remembers her except Subaru.
Yeah.
And then like Subaru got upset at Roswell and was like, it's because of him that Rem is doing. It's like, and Ram's just like, who's this Rem? Why do I care? It's like, oh, yeah, she
Yeah.
doesn't know.
She doesn't know, and it won't hurt her because she doesn't know.
So, yeah, so Subaru goes out, sits with Amelia, and like you can see she doesn't want to do this test, but Subaru says he has faith in her, and she looks at him, she's like, well, how can I not try? So
Yeah.
Subaru actually convinces Garth to let all the villagers go because Amelia is taking the test. And when he goes back to the mansion and finds all the doors open, I was expecting them to find Beatrice dead somehow because all the doors are open. That's why I thought all the doors were open.
Well, she's the spirit of the house, so I don't think she can ever die.
But
But
like I thought the doors were open to find her specifically. That was what was going on in my head.
yeah. But I do want to mention though that like the carriage guy had an idea to carry the people off, but half blooded people can't leave because it
Yeah,
kind of
re,
it turns
re
them into a husk if
yeah,
they do leave.
Ryuzu came and explained that like anyone who tries to leave gets out without a soul.
Yeah, unless the trial's complete.
Yeah, which it wasn't a bad idea, just lack of information.
Yeah,
So
but
Super,
yeah,
go ahead.
continue.
Oh, okay. Subaru gets back to the mansion and surprise, surprise, man starts bleeding. Looks at his gut, and I'm like, isn't this what happened in episode 1? And then Elsa shows up from episode 1.
Yeah,
She's like, I told you I'd fulfill this promise of keeping your intro. What is something along the lines of like, I'm gonna
if you're,
get your guts.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, all right. Mind fucking me again. That's okay, ReZero. Do as you do. Let's start the next episode and see where we go from there.
hmm
So Subaru hasn't earned like Subaru he rakes up in the what's the ruin? The graveyard.
yeah, sanctuary,
He wakes
wherever
up in
that
the
place is.
sanctuary graveyard trial, and we're basically starting from square one. He's already handling it differently. he tries to immediately um take the trial, and Garth is now against it. Garfield. Amelia now thinks that Subaru doesn't have faith in her, so he's already doing shit wrong. I'm like, okay, now you gotta die again. You fucked up.
Yeah.
And Roswell, we find out that no one but Amelia can do the trial because that's what Roswell wants. And I was just like, what? But like just last episode, Roswell seemed like he had so much trust in Subaru that like he was willing. I don't know, man. What's going on?
It,
Um,
it's it's something to do with the way the people's gonna look at Amelia. Like he needs
yeah.
them to look in a favorable light.
But in the last episode, Garfield was willing to let Subaru do the trials, like come back and do the trials if she can't do it. I mean, like I don't know how he earned his trust in like 2 or 3 days, because like you don't see much interaction between them. But at least in this one, it was too soon for Subaru to try to suggest such a thing. So we find out that Roswell wants Amelia to take these trials, and Subaru is going to the mansion with Rom, and he tries to get the necklace off of Garfield, but he refuses because he doesn't like Subaru. And then Rom gets it from him because he loves Rom. And then during the travels, Subaru decides to tell Rom about Rem.
Yeah.
And they get to the mansion. Petra's alive, thank God, 'cause she's a little cutie. Federica is somewhere out checking the protection barrier or whatever, the forest barrier. And Subaru shows Rem, and upon seeing Rem, Rom asks to be alone with her, which I actually didn't have a good feeling about it, but there we were. So Subaru gives them time alone, and Subaru ends up running into Federica, who they start talking, and he tries to get answers. Federica can't answer, and Rom shows up like, "Oh, you disappear to be alone with this girl."
You don't fear for your safety or something,
Yeah,
something crazy along those
a
lines.
very Rom comment. And then they seemed
Yeah.
like they're about to fight, but like it was just to like break her oath or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And um they start Elsa shows up holding Petra with a knife, and like Rom and Federica just start attacking, and Subaru gets a needle in his shoulder, his right shoulder, and Federica gets a bunch of needles in her back. And Rom's ready to skedaddle, but Subaru's like, we need to save Rem and Beatrice. And Federica agrees, and so does Petra. And like, poor Petra, like, she's like, Federica already says I'm a better maid than you, so I feel like my opinion holds weight here. It's just like, if you could actually fight, maybe I'd give you some of that benefit of the doubt, but now I don't. I think you should buy out of this.
Yeah.
So Federica transforms into a beautiful looking beast right before, right after she got naked and took her clothes off. And then she hopped into the window where Subaru used his smoke ability, but it seemed like it messed up his gate or whatever it's called again. Because after
Yeah.
he used it, he was kind of in pain.
Yeah.
And Ram, Subaru, and Petra go to towards the goes in the mansion, sees the doors open. They're like, "Oh no, we gotta go upstairs." And then a mob beast shows up, and Ram, I guess, tries to distract the mob beast, and it's just Subaru and Petra. But in the middle of them about to run, the ceiling caves in, I think.
Yeah. Some hit some.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, and then Subaru was trying to open his eyes. He was seeing a lot of things. He saw Patricia get attacked, and he's still holding on to Petra's hand. By the time he actually came to, he looked over, and it was literally just her hand.
Yeah.
And we run into Elsa again, who Subaru tries to get answers out of us, like, "Yo, who sent you to do this?" And Petra's just like, "It was supposed to only be two people here and one like person who couldn't do anything, and it was supposed to be just in time for you to show up." Which really, her saying that alone made me suspect Roswell. I don't know about you, but it made me suspect Roswell because the way he said that he orchestrated everything to happen while he was away. So I don't really know how that came about, but as soon as she was about to kill him, Subaru was gonna run into Rem's room and Beatrice was there, and he was like, "Why did you save me?" And I was like, "Yeah, why did you save him? Let him die. He needs to die." Poor Petra's dead. She just wanted to be a maid. Subaru needs to die. But yeah, that's how the episode ends. Irby, comments, thoughts? Irby?
My bad. I just like Subaru. I don't understand how he just thought like he tells all that stuff and then he's like, oh, it can like he expects Garfield to still give him the necklace and stuff. I'm like, that stuff ain't played out, homeboy. You can't do that. And then um I did I did think it was worth mentioning how um Rom she when he's like, oh, I thought I'd have to throw you in the forest and Rom in the forest so you can go chase after
And she like had that little
flashback.
vague memory of it happening before.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know, but I didn't like that too much for some reason. So yeah, so that
Okay.
happened. Yeah, nice episode. Poor Petra.
But do you feel like Roswell has anything to do with Elsa attacking the cat at the mansion?
You could say yes, but you don't definitively know.
Because I think, well, that's probably okay. So like that's probably why they made Roswell come clean about all that shit earlier, so that when Elsa says that like it was someone's plan for her to be here with just the occupants of the mansion the way it was, so people would think it's Roswell, but Roswell shouldn't remember Rem, so now I don't think it was him, but it could be him. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, I feel like it might have to do with like the witches cult or something.
Probably.
Like they have an insider, so they might know, but who knows?
Alrighty, sir. You ready to talk about some Tower of Gizad?
Yeah, let's talk about this little show right quick. So we are on Tower of God season 2, episodes 222 to 229.
222 to 229. Going there right now. Carry on.
So continues from last week. They're going to trade the Yellow May for the Grey March for whoever wins. Yuri asks why she should make such a bet, and then she replies, "For the sake of the change that you want." Kun Machini, and then if Yuri wins, she'll have 3 months, and if she refuses to fight Kun Machini, she'll make sure that she can't ride the Hell Train anymore. Uh, Yuri thinks it's suspicious. She's like, all of a sudden, you want to offer this now? Like, I'm here in this place? And Karaka shows up to confront Yuri, god of Fug. He's there for the revenge for the conductor. And apparently, they had some ongoing business with each other. And the train is going to leave soon. And we find that Alfing is going to manage the station because he's an actual regular. And then Kun chides Rack for losing, which was pretty funny. Uh, and then Dorsey interrupts Bam and Kun's Rack moment to yell at Bam for not telling her he's going to the floor of death. And she wants to go because she has a princess she wants to meet. And they kind of go in this little monologue, like, I don't know. And then, because I think Yuri and Dorsey will cause problems, which later on they do. They have some issues with each other. Don't know why. I think it's because they fight for Bam's love. So that happens. and we find out that Karaka is going to destroy the path and prevent Bam from getting on the train. And then Evan has an item called Frog Fisher, and he has 5 different abilities you find out with it, and then they're called desires, and third desire, hungry, and then he sucked up the attack that Karaka launched at him, and then he also has a desire that I wouldn't say restore things, but it returns items to their former state. And then everyone decides to go on the train before the path is destroyed again. And then the fight resumes between Yuri and Karaka, and she does a nuclear punch. And then Yuri senses she has to kill Karaka or else he'll be her biggest enemy at, at a future date. Uh, and then Kun kind of wonders why the rankers aren't intervening in the fight. And he's like, "Oh, is this a necessary battle or something?"
Mm-hmm.
And, and then so they all talk about their plan to get on the train. And Yeon is determined to get on the train, even though she's like crippled and hurt. Uh, Iso's group is going to stay behind, and so is Rand. And he says, "We'll see you on the higher floor." Evan uses Adam's glove to make sure they aren't noticed. It blocked all sound within it and appears invisible. But my thing is, when he did it, you kind of could see gloves. So unless you can't see the gloves, then I don't really know what you know like it's I'm like you kind of see the gloves. So if you see gloves, you kind of could assume something in that area is being done.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. So the first people will get on Bong Bong and head out. Then the World of Darkness attack that Karaka launches at Yuri is neutralizing stuff and whatnot. And the attack is supposed to transfer him to another world, but Yuri is too strong.
Unless like like the lady earlier, her inventory was invisible to everyone but her. Unless the gloves are like that, you can see them, but just cause like just so we know they're there and it's actually invisible to everyone else.
Yeah.
But go on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So let's see. Where was I? Yeah, too strong and then uh there's one in particular that can give back damage. I kind of thought of Meliodas' full counter attack he does. It multiplies damage back. And so,
I think I'm on the final season of Seven Deadly Sins.
probably. She pulls out Chrono's needle to distract Karaka from seeing all the other people. And it's one thing you can use that calls an ultimate ignition. You can only use it like once, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe once a day or something like that bag. And then Karaka sacrifices his arm to survive the blast, and then you flash to him, and he's like, "Oh, who'd I have to kill to make Juviol appear?" I'm like, "Oh man!" So it's about to get down, and Rack may be in trouble. And the reason this happened was because the temporary mode is disabled for a moment, brief second, when she activated the needle.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Karaka saw the kids. Karaka says he will kill them, and says he can't uh Bam says you can't let them die because he's after him and not them. Horion tells Khan Bam won't die here and to get on the train. I'm like, okay. They talk. He wants to stop Bam from getting on the train. He wants the
Harion's
Great
just
Slayer to
a
come back to
walking
life.
spoiler.
Yeah. Yeah, so he wants the Great Slayer to come back to life, tells him to release them, otherwise he won't just stand there. Bam tells Karaka that he met someone wearing the exact same ring as him, to distract Karaka, because Yeon has a plan to get Bam on the train, and so Uriha releases murderous energy, and Karaka uses infinite lives because he almost died or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but he came back, and Karaka we found out has a brother, and Prince and Minsang ask Hoquin to be service. Hoquin is surprised in the turn of events, and surprise, surprise, he was going to give Casino as a bargaining chip, I guess.
Kasano?
So yeah, Casano. Yeah, he's like, I hope you get Casano. And Wang Nan confronts him, and he injects Casano with something that in 5 minutes will take effect, and the master ball that can contain him for a few days. He uses to get to Horyang. Once he captures him, that's what to do. And so Kasano is beating him up and then getting all he can handle and crushes the Pokeball. And during the course of this, he tells him he wants to gather up the kids and give them the same power so that there won't be any more scapegoats while climbing the tower. He wants to do that. He still wants to climb the tower. They talk. He tells them he's full of it, and people who that want to change, uh, that want to make change, don't forsake those around them. Says he's only but a chess piece they're using. And oh man, Arc Raptor shows up with the real Pokeball and catches Kasano. So then Arc Raptor is carrying Wangnan back to the room. They are worried of Hoquin's still. The door's opened. But the password only Arc Raptor knows, and he's the only one who knows it. I guess that's redundant. Rachel overhears this, and they turn the trap around on them. She's like, "Oh, we knew it was a trap. We just faked it."
Mm-hmm.
And then Wang Nan's taken hostage. Emily tells them the password. Hoquin wanted to make them fall into deeper despair so that they would taste better. They're going to kill Wang Nan, but Arc Raptor says, kill him instead. And then I kind of feel like Arc Raptor is Anak's father. Just a little thought I had there. Don't know if it's true,
Maybe time will
but
tell.
yeah. He says Wang Nan is the glue that holds together everyone. Then we find out that Prince got eaten.
Yeah.
He volunteered to be eaten to spare missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, look at you, you're a stand-up guy. Only 300 episodes later.
Well, he ain't standing up anymore.
Yeah, so Bam thinks if he was strong, he could have, uh, could he could have
He was
got
basically,
people.
yeah, he was basically upset that he had to be protected instead of saving everyone.
Yeah, and Wang Nan is in a dark place. And he says he couldn't save anyone as people, and what's that guy's name? Nia from the first one when he's part of Sweet and Sour, Naya or something.
Um,
He has a dream of that little boy that got killed on his behalf, and that little boy says he can't save anyone. You just draw people in and lead them to their death.
yeah, their relationship was weird anyway.
Yeah, Kasano is mad because he's unaware of the plot, and we find out you need one sacrifice to enter the floor of death. Rachel was trembling after she killed Arc Raptor. I was like, you supposed to be the bad guy. This is what you're supposed to be doing?
She doesn't know how to be a bad guy.
She's doing pretty well enough for me.
And like, how are you trembling after killing him when you literally tried to kill Bam and thought he was dead?
I think I think she knew he wasn't dead. I think she knew that in order for her to continue the way she was, that Bam had to be part of it. That she had to push him off so they could train Bam. But
No,
That's
she
my
doesn't know
thought.
about that because Rachel wouldn't do anything to benefit Bam at this point. It's all about her self benefit.
Yeah, but her self benefit was like they said, just push him off the thing.
Yeah, yeah. They
Then he
tricked
did.
her into pushing Bam so they can get him.
Yeah. So that happens. Um, Bam goes to visit the god of guardians because he wants to become a god. He says that he's not the kind of being. It was something that the regulars nicknamed him. Asks him what happened outside, and he tells him great power cannot make everyone happy. And then this happened before the question with King Jihad. He wanted a place where everyone could be happy, but he fails. Tells him it's not how you use your power. It's not important that you have power. It's how you use your power. And then Dorsey tells Bam, stop pouting because some of your companions are gone for a few moments, and some of your other companions were gone, and then they return. They pass their test that they have to do on the floor. Horion says it will be hard to survive the floor of death with even with Yuri. Bam starts training in the rice pot again. Rachel visit Wang Nan, talks about the ring Wang Nan has. It says it's Jihad's blood. It's a fatal weak point that they were hidden, but they survived somehow. There's a key to we find out there's a key to unlock the higher floors, the ones that after Jihad stopped on. He stopped on 134. Half the keys were melted by the blacksmith, and they formed the weapons for them, and the other half are in the rings that they have. So a lot of stuff's heating up. A lot of good things here.
Hey.
So uh, I'm excited. It's way better than Weak Hero. So some good
Again,
stuff
Irby.
there.
Again. You don't have to validate the things you're reading and watching by comparing them to One Piece and Weak Hero. We get it.
I
You don't
do.
like it. We do
That's
though.
that's just how I roll, homie. But yeah,
Sheesh.
but yeah, that's it.
I could just imagine like the next person you're with. So how do you like me? I like you way better than my last girl. Shit.
I wouldn't say that because that's not something you would do.
Exactly. You shouldn't
N-
say it.
not in that context of partners.
Mm.
But if it's pertinent to know, if it's pertinent for your partner to know certain behaviors make you feel certain ways, then you should let them know that behavior.
mm. Well, you got anything else you want to go out on, sir?
Let me tell you about this show called Black
Nah,
Clover,
nah, nah,
people.
nah, 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 nah. We not doing
Um,
that. Hold on, hold on. If you talking about this, I'm leaving.
well, I guess that's all, folks.
No spoilers, damn it.
Shoot.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.